Let's go ahead and get started. Excited for everybody to be here today. Again, the agenda is in the chat there. If you haven't grabbed the agenda, we've got a pretty exciting topic that we're going to be covering today. I'm not going to be sharing screens until the very end. I do have a really cool resource that we're working on that I'm excited to tell you guys about here in a little bit. But I'm going to try to keep the camera on so we can just watch each other as much as possible today. I really enjoy the engagement that way. So if you don't mind, just grab the agenda, or if you just want to just follow along, I'll follow along the agenda. I've got it over here on my screen. So you'll see me look over to the side from time to time just to make sure that I'm on point. We do have a few housekeeping items I wanted to share with you before we get started today. Number one, if this is your first Demand Gen Jam session, we're super excited that you're here. These are really fun. They're definitely meant to be low key and just an opportunity for us B2B marketers to come together, just jam on the things that are going on in the world. Obviously, today's a really cool topic, a fun topic, which is all about AI and marketing. But we would love your feedback. So if you look on the agenda there, that first link, we'll take you to a survey. If you haven't filled that survey out before, please do, because it helps us, curate topics that will be important and exciting to everyone. So that's what that first bullet is about. We also have a community that is connected with these monthly events called the Demand Gen Jammers community. If you haven't joined the community, please do so. There's a link in the agenda to do that. This is where we can continue our dialogue in between these events. And so, honestly, I'd love to see that get more life or legs than it currently has. And I don't know if that's just a function of that we're all busy, or maybe that it's in LinkedIn and LinkedIn isn't the best place for groups. I don't know, but we are all connected there. So please join us in that community. And a couple of updates from the community. One, we were touching on this right before we got started today, is, I have a personal goal of being on 20 podcasts this year, and we're doing a good job. I think I've been on 3 or 4 so far this year, but really excited that 2 of our Demand Gen Jammers community members invited me to be on their podcast. And out of just crazy coincidence, both of those podcasts actually dropped today. So Jesse, I know you're here, and you can see Jesse's his link to his LinkedIn profile is there. And he's got an awesome podcast called Brand and Brews. It's really cool because you get to drink beer while you're on the podcast. That's kind of cool. And I'm glad that you're here, Jesse, and would encourage everybody to listen into that episode and certainly check out his podcast. And then Mark Evans. Mark, I'm not sure if you're on the Demand Gen Jammers today, but he's part of our community and had an opportunity to be on his podcast that also dropped today. And we talked all about ABM. So check them out and connect with them. Follow them on LinkedIn. They're pretty awesome. And then moving down the agenda, I'm really excited. If you've been to the last couple of Demand Gen Jam sessions, you know that I've had guests to help with the dialogue and to really just continue the conversation. And so the last couple of months, we had Ray Larson from our team on the Demand Gen Jam sessions. This month, I'm really excited to introduce you to Jess Wood. Jess is one of our account managers, and she is just really fascinated about this topic of AI. She's like deep diving on this stuff. And so I asked her to join us today and to really kind of dialogue and manage the conversation with me. Jess, you want to say hi?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. As Paul said, I'm just super excited about AI. I'm probably getting into the weeds way too much on this stuff. So I love researching, finding ways to make our team more effective, and just keeping up with the trends. So glad to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, she's done a lot of the research on this resource we're going to share with you guys a little bit later on. So she's been awesome. She knows a lot more about some of the tools and things like that. So I'm excited to have her kind of jump in and give her point of view as we get through this. And then if you've been on any sessions in the past, Andrea. Andrea is also on the Vindy Digital team. She's our moderator. And so because we have a big group, my encouragement to you is as we go through the information today, just chat. Let's have a good dialogue in the chat. She'll bring up your questions. She may call on you and ask you to unmute and jump onto the conversation. But we really would like to hear from you guys, especially today. One thing I was going to mention earlier, I'll jump into it now. there really are no chat GPT or AI experts, right? We're all in this together. It's a brand new disruptor that's happening in our industry. And so I'm really hoping that as we go through the information today, that we can have a really fun, open dialogue about what's working, what's not working, what our concerns are. I even dropped a LinkedIn post earlier this week. It just feels like, man, all of a sudden everybody's a chat GPT expert or an AI expert. And the reality is I don't know that anybody is an expert right now. So let's have a good dialogue today. The last thing on the headlines there is in May, we're actually not going to do a demand gen jammers group session. What we're going to do is actually have a webinar. So twice a year, we do something that's a little bit more highly produced. It's covering a really important topic, and we try to do those a couple of times a year. This one is going to be on May the 11th. Which is a Thursday, not a Wednesday. It's going to be at 11:30 Central Time and not 12. There's a different way to register, so stay tuned. We don't have links for any of that. It's literally getting built as we are talking right now. So by the time we send out the replay to this to everybody, you'll have a way to get registered for that. But the topic is really timely. So we're going to talk about how do you combine ABM and demand gen in a way to really reach your audience right now in this really crazy economy that we're having. How can we leverage those two tactics or strategies, if you will, as a way to really get in front of the right buyers, get them excited about what we have to say, and get them into our pipeline. So that's what we're going to be covering in May. And I'd really love for all of you guys to join us for that. And so I think I've covered all of the main the kind of the housekeeping items. So let's go ahead and just jump on in, moving down the agenda here. So obviously our topic today that we're going to be covering is all about AI and marketing, and what are we going to do with this new technology? And should we be scared of it? Should we be excited about it? How do we deal with it? How do we leverage it? And, one of the things that I've just noticed as I've gone through and just followed some of the comments that I'm seeing in social media, et cetera, it seems like a lot of marketers and copywriters especially are really scared of this new technology. And I was thinking about our Demand Gen Jam session this morning when I got out of bed. And, I don't talk about it much, but I actually wrote a book back in 2012 called Social Rules. And the reason I'm pointing to this book is I remember getting out of bed this morning that the very first chapter of this book, which was all about social media, was literally called, I'm going to put this on the screen. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but it was The Rules Have Changed, right? So in 2012, the rules have changed. And that was, how do you use social media to grow your business? Everybody was familiar with the internet and search, but people were freaking out about Facebook and other things. And so I wanted to start the whole book on the rules have changed and innovation is happening and disruption is happening. And so one thing I just wanted to share with everybody listening in today, especially those of you that may be starting out your careers in marketing and concerned, I literally had a conversation on Sunday with my middle son. We were having Easter dinner and he was thinking, oh my gosh, AI is going to ruin his career. And he was really kind of down in the dumps. And what I was trying to communicate to him is, here's what I found in my career, and I've seen it in others' careers. Whenever you see a new innovation or a new disruptor, rather than run from it or try to throw rocks at it or stick your head in the sand, what I found works a lot better is embrace it. We can't stop innovation. We can't stop things like AI or ChatGPT. And what I found in my career is when I've embraced new things like that and really tried to say, this is a tool, and we're going to use it to the benefit of the organizations that I'm a part of, that good things happen. And so my encouragement to all of you is just realize we can't put it back in a box. It's here, whether we like it or not. So what can we do as marketers to really use it, help it, use it to help our businesses? Another thing that I like to communicate about AI is it's really not a replacement for good marketers. When you think about the marketing profession, our job is to get in front of the right buyers, give them the right message, and really think about the psychology to get them to go through, a marketing and sales process. I think it's better for us to think about AI as really like a tool, you know, and a chainsaw is a tool, right? So a chainsaw in the hands of the right person can do really cool things. A chainsaw in the hands of the wrong person can do some really bad things. And so when you think about AI and ChatGPT and these technologies we're going to cover today, think about it as a tool. If it's going to replace anybody, in my opinion, and I'd love to hear from you guys when we open it up, it's going to replace interns, or it might be, I like to think of it as like giving work that I would give an intern to do to really just speed up the process. And so that's one thing. Another thing I feel like I wanted to share today is there's a little bit of fad element to this, right? I think all of us B2B marketers, we get a little excited about the shiny trinkets that show up on the scene. You know, I think about Clubhouse. Does anybody remember Clubhouse from like, what was it, 2 years ago? And, you know, I literally, this is so how shiny trinket Clubhouse was to me. I was an Android person. I got rid of my Android and I went and bought an iPhone just so I could get on Clubhouse, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to change the world. And so I chased that shiny trinket. NFTs, that was a shiny trinket a little bit, right? And so there is some of that. So there's a lot of hype right now. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork saying they're experts. But I think we just need to be practitioners and professionals and think about how can we leverage it to help our businesses. And
Hey, Paul.
yeah,
I'm just kind of curious. Do you own any NFTs?
I do not own any NFTs. Do you, Jess?
No, I don't.
So, hey, let us know in the chat if you jumped on the NFT bandwagon. I'd love to hear about it and what you did. That would be pretty awesome. So a couple of other things just about ChatGPT before we jump too far into the discussion. One other thing I was thinking about this morning, and that is, you know, in a way, it's better than Google. You know, Google does some cool things, but ChatGPT and AI can do some cooler things. And before we had Google, you know, Google showed up on the scene, it did some cool things. But like if I'm looking for a recipe or something, you know, or a particular piece of information, if I go and Google it, the first thing I'm going to see is half a page full or maybe a full page of ads. Then I'm going to start seeing websites, and I got to click over to the website. I got to dig into the information. So even as just a user or a consumer of knowledge, there are places where Google is useful. If I want to figure out how to get from my house to Jess's house, I'm not going to go to ChatGPT and ask that question. I'm going to go to Google. But if I want to figure out, you know, a great recipe for making a lemon drop, which is my wife's favorite alcoholic beverage right now, I'm not sure why, but I can probably ask ChatGPT and get a quicker, easier answer than going to Google. So anyways, I guess to summarize that part, it's just, I feel like this is a great opportunity for us as marketers if we see it as really a tool and not something to be afraid of. Now, with that said, I think there are some concerns that we need to be thinking about when we start trying to leverage AI in our business. You know, one of the first concerns, especially about ChatGPT, is, and I'm not sure if everybody on the session today knows this, but its data set stopped in 2021. So if you ask ChatGPT who won the Super Bowl this year, it's not going to know the answer, right? So you've got to understand that it's limited in the data set that it's using to get information. Another thing, and there's some interesting articles I saw about this over the last month or so, if it doesn't know the answer, and it's designed to really give us an answer, and it wants to answer things for us so much, it'll just make things up sometimes. So we have to really be careful with the information that we're getting back and making sure that we're vetting it. And then Jess, I know you've done some research just on, you know, things like what's going on in Italy and Elon Musk. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So on our European side, there's a lot more concern with data privacy, especially around children being able to use ChatGPT and just the regulations of, you know, how it requests our personal data and uses it. And so in Italy, they have, they've disabled ChatGPT. But what's interesting is this week, trending on Google Trends are VPNs. So it looks like a lot of people are using VPNs to be able to work around and to use ChatGPT. But the whole idea is just that they're really looking to protect the consumers and not understanding AI and its complete capabilities yet at this point can make it a little bit scary. So Ireland's also following suit, and they have their data protection commission. They're following up with authorities on the matter. Let's see, I think France is also doing it as well. But this last week, AI published a blog post. It was on Wednesday, and they addressed the idea that they are concerned about people's safety. They're working to remove personal information and also training the data when it's feasible and trying to fine tune. So how ChatGPT responds is constantly changing, I think, as we're learning how to ask it questions. And then Bard with Google is following closely behind and with ChatGPT on that as well.
Yeah, that makes me think, Jess, as we get into use cases here in a minute, I think anything that we use AI for, especially like this interactive tool, like an NLP, like ChatGPT, man, if you're not getting your eyes on it before it's shared with the public, I don't think that's a safe thing, right? Because we've got, false information, like it'll make stuff up. We just talked about that. It's potentially a privacy issue. And so the last thing I would want to do is have like my chat bot on my website using ChatGPT to answer things real time without a human getting their eyes on it. I think that might be a dangerous thing. So tell me about the Elon Musk letter. What were your thoughts on that, Jess?
Yeah. So Elon Musk, which I envision as I think most people do, is that he is just a true innovator of our times. And so when he wrote the open letter asking for a pause on the development of AI, I was really taken aback by it, because I just think of him as being forward thinking within technology and developments. But his point, and the point that a lot of other leaders in technology made, was that it could pose a profound risk to society and humanity. That was their quote on it. But it came just after they launched GPT-4, which is the most powerful AI system that they have out now. And it just looks like there's an arm race that's heating up. And so I feel like as I've joined, like if I see a new AI tool, I'll of course join their newsletter, because that's what good marketers do, right? We join everyone's newsletters. And it's my email just gets flooded now with people saying, we have this coming out, and this AI is part of this tool that we have. So the idea behind the open letter was to have a 6-month pause for safety research.
Now, I will tell you, I mentioned at the beginning, that I've been through a lot of disruptions and a lot of innovation in the last 30 years. I can't think of an open letter when the internet came out, or, any other, the tractor came out, where people were like, oh my gosh, we got to put a stop to this because it's going to change the world, but so that's interesting. I mean, that is new. And I think there are some concerns with how fast this thing can learn. And, I think for me, I'm 56. I remember when the Terminator came out and the robots took over the world. And so some of that may be true. But we'd love to hear from you guys. I mean, I'd love to open it up, and Andrea, maybe you can manage this on the chat a little bit, but does anybody want to share kind of their thoughts on AI and marketing or ChatGPT? Is it good? Is it bad? Are you concerned? What are you seeing? How do you feel about automation and AI and marketing?
I have a few people I can call on here from the chat.
Sure.
Ryan asked if you want to unmute yourself and talk about the point you made. That'd be a good one to start.
So it dovetails right on what Paul was talking about. The database is time dated. So once the genie's out of the bottle and it can access news sites real time, what does that do to the business model for all of, we've seen newspapers shrink because people don't want to pay for news anymore. and a lot of the smaller news agencies are going out of business, or they're trying to restructure, they stop printing, et cetera.
Right.
Something like this rolling into that market and those business models could now, it reaches in, it grabs the content, it rephrases it, and boom. I mean, what's the impact of that? That's, you know, one of the things. And the other thing that I always think about is, so when are the ads coming? And what are they going to be like? Because nobody spends billions of dollars for the goodness of mankind.
Yeah. How's it going to get monetized, right? It's coming somehow, some way.
Yeah. And that's going to be big. And the question is given the capabilities of this for personalization and machine learning and everything else, now it's going to show Nathan a red Corvette, and it's going to show Chip the blue one that he likes.
Yeah.
Or
how'd you know Chip
Andrea's going to get her yellow Porsche, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. What do you think about all that?
Well, so a couple of things. You know, I just think about how these tools, and I'm going to go all the way back to like Google and just the internet, right? It's these tools exist to help human beings gain knowledge, right? I mean, that's why Google exists, and that's really why some of these AI tools exist. Now, we're marketers, so we want to leverage these tools to help our customers learn about our products and services. But at the end of the day, you know, as we try to ride this wave, because I can't really predict what the wave's going to do, but I can predict that, you know, if there's a avenue that my customer is going to use to get to information quicker and easier, that path of least resistance, just like water follows a path of least resistance, I want to be a part of that, because I want to capture my customers' attention, and I want to point them in my direction. And but it is crazy that I know that it's going to be connected to more real-time data. What's that going to do? And then I'm sure ads are coming. You know, I'm sure, and maybe it's not open AI, maybe it's going to be through Bing or some other place in the way that they do their ad revenue, but it's coming. I mean, and I'm a little, if I were Google, now granted, I know they're working on stuff, but man, you know, you do a search in Google today and it's full of ads. And so I know that user experience has gotten tarnished over time. So it will be interesting to see. Great comment, Ryan. Yeah, go ahead, Jess.
I wanted to just say, one of the things that I like to remind myself and my peers is that I don't ever feel that AI or any of these tools are going to replace marketers, but marketers that know how to use these tools will replace the other marketers. So in the instance of, like you were talking about the Corvette, or showing the red or the blue Corvette, it's that marketer that understands how to create those queries within AI to be able to set up that product faster than another marketer would. If you can just run a script quickly to say, okay, every time this happens, you know, you have your if-then scenarios, then your efficiency as a marketer could just explode from that point, which I think it's kind of cool to keep in mind too, that we could just really learn how to, you know, take advantage of all of these things. And as far as like using data that's now, ChatGPT does only go up to 2021, but something like copy.ai, you could take a URL, or you could take a LinkedIn profile, and you can say, hey, copy.ai, will you rewrite this for me, or write a cold email to this person based on this profile? And so you can actually use, AI for current website information, but we'll have more on that too.
Yeah, I actually have a cool plugin I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit on that. So that was a great dialogue. Andrea, maybe one more. Do you have another one that you want to tee up?
You actually have a lot of chat going on in the chat right now. But some of the, as I scroll through here, some of the, going back to the concerns with ChatGPT and AI is just, there's no such thing as a pause. Once it's here, it's here.
Right.
You know, just using it more of a check, not the gospel yet, and then how it will affect SEO and the SERP.
Yeah. In fact, when we get down to our resource that we've made available to you guys, we talk a lot about SEO because I think it is a cool SEO tool if we use it the right way. And, one thing as we transition into the next topic is, well, actually, I just looked at the agenda. I was going to cover a couple of things that it's not real quick, and then we'll get down into use cases. But, one thing I really don't believe that AI, although a lot of people use it this way, is a copywriter. Okay. So it writes copy, but I don't think it writes copy that you want to put on your website by itself, right? It's copy that can get you 70% there, 80% there, 50% there. I guess it depends on who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. But Google is doing everything they can to fight AI generated content in their search results. And Google is still, I don't know about you guys, for us, it's the #1 source of traffic to our website. And so SEO is still very important to us. And so when you think about Google, we talked about this the last couple of months in content marketing, but they have this thing called EAT, EEAT. Expertise, experience, authority, and trust. And so those are really important words to remember when it comes to content marketing. And that's how they're leveraging or trying to understand and interpret the content that's in their search results. And so the idea of taking a keyword, dropping it in copy.ai or ChatGPT, getting it to spin out a blog post and posting that on your website and thinking it's going to rank well is not the way to go. So using it to help you create a well-optimized blog or page on your website, I think is awesome, but it is not meant to be, just flat out content that you want to put on your website. Also, just another point, marketing automation and many other technologies have been around for a while. So AI isn't new. It's this NLP version of AI where we can talk to it or type words into it and get feedback. That's what's new. But gosh, like Chip House is here, his company's been using AI in their products for a long time. Marketing automation. I mean, AI is just part of the way that marketers automate and do things. So it's been here a while. I guess that's the point. Let's not be too afraid of it. So let's switch gears and talk about use cases just a little bit. And I'd love to get the chat going here, and maybe Andrea, you can call on some folks. But what we're seeing as some really good use cases might be audience development and really trying to get up under the skin of your persona and who you're trying to reach. Really trying to understand words and sentences and structure of information that would be useful to them at the different stages of the buying journey. Just writing content in a way that just helps expedite what your team's trying to do. Jess, you kind of talked about that a little bit. It's going to speed things up for us, right? So things that can that we would give an intern to do, like I talked about earlier, I think it's going to be really good at. Jess, what are some use cases that come to mind for you?
Well, one of the things, whenever you mention copywriting too, is that ChatGPT and Bard still sound so flat. Like there's no human, like you just know.
Right.
So it is a cool starting point. One of the things that I did this last week is I used a avatar generator, like a video generator, and I sent Paul typed in the message, and I had this avatar speak to Paul and tell him that I had completed such and such task. But what I really liked about these avatar videos that you can create, and we have a link to the resource, is that if you have an HR team that has to do training videos, or you're doing product training videos, you have 120 different languages, you have one avatar, it can say it in all the different languages. Talk about a time saver.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Jess, you got me thinking about a couple of things. One, how cool is that you can make an avatar, say whatever you want. Two, translation services. Oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about that. Man, get your content repurposed in different languages. I'll tell you something that we started doing earlier this year, which I think is a great use of AI, is we're going back to all of our blogs. I mean, we've got 10 years worth of blogs, and we're actually basically doing similar to what you just said, Jess, but audio only. we're plugging in all the text from all of our blogs and adding to our blogs an audio version of the blog. So somebody could listen to it rather than read it. And that's important for a couple of reasons. One, buyer behavior is changing. We want to be able to have content in all the different formats that our buyers want. And so sometimes they want to listen to our content, not read it. Another reason is it helps us with search results with all, the various apps and speakers, the smart speakers and things like that that are out there today. And we're thinking about even putting it out in a podcast format. So that's just another great use case of how this AI can be used. So we'd love to hear from you. Andrea, do you have anybody sharing how they're using AI? Any great ideas, great tips?
Yeah, we've got some dropping in the chat. One that I can agree with is just strictly brainstorming with AI. I use it specifically for, copywriting brainstorming and just different ideas, but that's something I'm seeing in here is just that extra tool for brainstorming. As I scroll through the chat, I do see Chip, if you want to talk more about this, but using it to summarize transcripts from podcast videos and pulling out the most important points out of that. Chip, I don't know if you want to mute yourself if you're still on here.
Sure. Yeah, and frankly, that's sort of the key thought with this one. But
yeah,
as we were taking our videos and putting, because we do YouTube videos, we use it on social. We also, convert them to podcast. And so we're trying to do a page on our website for every single one, and we don't want to have the entire transcript necessarily on the page, but we want some SEO value, but have it be human friendly when you go to the website. And so we kind of use ChatGPT that does a great job of pulling out the most salient points, kind of rephrasing in anyway, and so we're able to show those on that page. So that was sort of a surprise capability, frankly, that I thought it was pretty good at.
Yeah. And man, Chip, to jump on that, one thing, I love that too. The one thing that frustrates me about ChatGPT is its 4,000 character limit or something like that. So, like these events are like an hour long. So we have to have it summarize them in chunks, which can be a challenge. But, it's really cool the way that it can summarize and get to the essence of some of the key points. So like you said, it's not just a complete transcript. It's, what are the takeaways, if you will, right? Exactly. Another great use of it, similar to what you're talking about, and this is just kind of jumped into my mind too, but go take your old content on your website, and maybe it's ranking well, but you want to refresh it. And so you could go literally take your blog article from 2 years ago and train ChatGPT or Jasper or copy.ai, whichever tool you're using, with some tweaks to it, and then have it rewrite it for you. Now you've got like literally a net new blog on a similar topic. And that's really important because, when we had our content marketing sessions, we talked about trying to write within content pillars. You don't want to go too far outside of your primary content pillar. So repurposing old content or refreshing it, I think might be a really good use. We haven't tried that yet, but that might be a cool way to use it.
That's a good point. And I guess I would just also say +1 for anytime you have it write anything for you.
Yeah.
Look at it and, how many competitors are listed in it, for example, or like strange things that are referenced that you don't want in there. So
yeah, such a great point.
I think I would be curious at some point, Paul, I don't know if you've ever had anybody from Jasper on or copy.ai on this show?
No, we haven't. It would be great to have them on there. I know if any of you guys follow Dave Gerhardt, he had the Jasper guys on a webinar, I think last month. And I can actually drop a link to that when we send out the follow-up, but it was really, I love what they're doing. You have to pay for Jasper, but they actually tie into ChatGPT, but then they add some great user-friendly tools like getting your brand voice, where it learns your brand voice over time, which I think is pretty cool.
Very cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Chip. I appreciate that. Andrea, anybody else? Anything else you want to bring up?
I see another idea, writing outlines for video scripts.
Oh, yeah.
And then Nicole A, she's got some good ideas. Nicole, do you want to share those? See if she's still
Sure,
on.
I apologize. I didn't do video today.
Oh, no worries. Good to have you.
I'm one of those that rolled out of bed today.
No worries.
Building out strategic initiatives, mapping that down from that strategic level driver all the way down to the tactical. I found that work that I used to do would take me probably 2 full days or a week to get accomplished. I got done in just a few hours.
That's awesome.
And
That's really great.
using ChatGPT-4 to build it out into tables, massive time saver. Personas, of course, using that in a number of ways, building them up and tearing them down and asking different questions and getting to what you want. That has been a fabulous tool. Brainstorming hooks. That's something that's always stumped me. It's like getting really creative hooks. Providing some samples in the direction you want it to take. And then it's just absolutely amazing. And then creative ideas for infographics. I haven't fully built it out yet, but it even had it describe the images to include, and it was spot on. Like I might have to tweak
man, that's a great one. I hadn't thought about that. I love that idea.
Last night I went on I have these creative bursts. Well, I'm working for a tool that's kind of like Jasper and Copy AI, but it's more of an agile workspace. So we have tools from pieces of those in there, but we want to be different. So I'm trying to come up with some creative ways that we can expand it. We're kind of stumped on the images for comic strip building, but would have been able to get the text out. And so we're still trying to figure out how to build those image strips out. And then videos for a character. We developed an AI character that goes for our brand based off of our chatbot. We're going to build her up as a brand influencer. And so having ChatGPT-4 help us build that out has been really amazing. And I'm excited to launch her because it's just been like a little person.
Yeah.
So much.
That's
so
awesome.
exciting.
Yeah, Nicole, thank you. Those were really great. And I'll tell you, you mentioned tables. When I figured out I could get a ChatGPT to spit out answers in tables, that was such a game changer. Oh my gosh. In fact, I'm going to show you guys when we get into the resource here in a minute, how, a huge time saver for us over at Vindy Digital is building out content strategies and plans for our clients. And I'm going to show you how you can train ChatGPT to do that with literally one command and spit out a table with just a ton of great information for you. So I'll walk you guys through that, but those are some great ones. And I love the idea of asking ChatGPT to give you prompts for the images, because man, I struggle getting good images out of any of these, AI tools for image creation. They all never look like what I had in my mind. So I haven't figured out how to do that right. So those are good. Cool. Any other ones, Andrea?
The only one, maybe one more. Sarah W., did you have an idea you wanted to share?
Yeah, I just, so I've been doing a lot of playing with prompts and whatnot. And one of the things that I did last night, because I just kind of was, I'm trying to figure out what are all the use cases. And so ran the business model of, a hypothetical SaaS company through chat, worked with it to provided it tons of context, gave it a role as far as a business strategist goes, et cetera. And then really challenged it to help me figure out, like, how do I look at my TAM, my SAM, gave it things like CAC, et cetera. And then really said, hey, okay, find ways to optimize my marketing strategies based off of this information, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, okay, how clever is it, right? But then did some extensive look at, like, who my competitors are, asked it to tell me what were their differentiating points in the market, like what types of content and thought leadership do they put out, and then like prompted it to, to do the same thing for, my hypothetical HR SaaS company. It's fantastic what it's doing. I discovered a thing called reflection this morning. And so what that is challenging it to then reflect on its answers and optimize answers. And so you can create like a helper agent, and then have a dialogue between the assistant, the helper agent, and challenge the helper agent to build off of the AI, like responses.
I love that. So one thing I've learned to do, and it's in the resource as well, but to challenge the answer, right? So you get an answer, you can go and say, these are too broad, give me something a little bit better, or a little bit deeper or more nuanced, and it will come back and do that. So I do like that. Hey, Sarah, is that a mandolin on your wall behind you, or is that?
Yeah, there's the mandolin. There's
that is so cool.
And guitars. Yeah,
I love it. I love it, man. That's so cool. So, well, thanks. I appreciate that. That was really helpful, and it's amazing. What we all have to do is just get in and play with it. I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to find the best use cases until you get out there and play with it, which I think is a great segue into the next topic. One thing I said at the beginning of the event here, the show or the episode, I guess, is that I don't feel like there's any AI experts out there yet. And I laugh when I see people say that they're this AI expert on LinkedIn or whatever. I think we're all still trying to learn. And so one of the things that we've done is we've put together a resource that I really want it to be a community resource. And what I mean by that is it's currently in Notion. You can get to it by clicking the link underneath prompts and tools. And we'll be the librarians over here at Vendy Digital of this resource. But my hope is that we will all continue to try to use the various AI tools that are out there. And as a demand gen jammers community, when we find really cool things, let us know, or jump over to our group on LinkedIn, drop a screenshot, like Sarah, you were just talking about, hey, I was doing this and that, I learned this thing, or I learned I could push back here. I'd love to see that kind of feedback happening inside of the Demand Gen Jammers group. And then we can continue to update this resource for everyone so that we all have it readily available to us. Plus, we're, a B2B digital agency. We're doing marketing for many clients. And so we're out there trying to figure out how to do AI the right way, because it helps us serve our customers better. And as we find new things, we're going to update this document as well. And so what I'd like to do is just go ahead and jump over to the document. And by the way, I've never used Notion before at all. So this was my first attempt at trying to build something useful for everyone. If anybody has better ideas on how to present this information, or even organize Notion better, I'd love to hear it. But if you guys can see my screen now, I'm going to just basically give everybody a tour. This is the home page. You should be able to see that when you get logged in. There's 3 sections today. There's resources and references, and I'll get into that in a second, which is basically as we find interesting articles or things like that, we'll make those available to you there. Prompts and examples, that's where a lot of the meat is, and we'll spend some time on that. And then tools and integrations, really cool ways that people are integrating AI that we wanted to make you aware of. And so I'm going to jump into resources and references. And so as you're scouring the web, and, obviously we have a Slack channel internally here at Vendy Digital. Whenever anybody on the team finds a great article or a video or something, we're sharing that with one another. And if it's AI related, then we're going to go ahead and add it to this section. And so you can see here, we've got some interesting articles. This was a really good one from Rand Fishkin. This is one from Search Engine Strategies, just about, or SES, about, AI and Google. This was a great just overview of how ChatGPT works. And then, I spend the majority of my time on social media in LinkedIn. And so when I see cool ChatGPT little shortcuts or AI shortcuts, and I think they're worthy of making it to this list, that's what the rest of this is. So you can see here's some interesting articles on various prompts, content development, ways to improve your writing, tips on selling. So, there's a bunch of them. People love carousels on LinkedIn right now. And if I see one that I like, I'm going to copy it and add it here. So just check back often, because I think there'll be good articles and reference material for you. And then again, as you run across cool things, let us know about it, because I'd love to, as I said, make this a community development project. And let's drop the links to me. We'll get them uploaded onto this Notion environment, and then we can share it with everybody. So that's what resources and references are. This is where there's a lot of good stuff here. So this prompts and examples, the first section here, we just talk about some tips and tricks that we've learned on how to create a prompt. A prompt just is, what do you say into an AI tool to get it to get the best information back? And so, here's just some basic tips, be specific and clear, be relevant in your context. Also, we've been teaching our team, think about the who, what, when, where, why, and hows. So when you're writing a prompt, the more specific you can be about that output, the better. And what I found is the text-based output, this works really well. So, the start here stuff and thinking about the who, what, when, where, why, and how, if you can get that architected well into your prompt, you're going to get good feedback. Unlike Sarah, I'm struggling on the image side. I try and try. I can't get images to come back. Hopefully, if anybody's got good tips on that, share that and we can talk about it today if we have time, or certainly get that into this resource. But here's where the meat is. So we've got these prompt templates that we've tested and tried that we've made available to you. And so this section right here are prompt templates, and I'll show you a couple of those in a second. This section down here are just basically they're Google Slides. So, one thing, and Sarah, you kind of touched on this, you ask it a question and then you have to refine it, or you take the answer and then you refine it some more to get to the output. So if it was a multi-step experience to get to the output that we were looking for, we screenshotted those and made those available to you in these links here. So, some of our favorite all-purpose prompts, prompts for email, landing pages, content SEO, etc. Those will all be there. But these up here are literally copy and paste prompts. And so if I go over here to content marketing, you can literally just copy, for example, this prompt on how to change the narrative or get a fresh perspective. And you can paste that into like a Jasper or a ChatGPT. And you'll notice that inside of brackets, this is where you're going to have to provide it a little bit of information because it is a template. And so we've got 3 of them in here now for content marketing. And I really imagine that this is going to grow and get bigger in all these different areas over time. Let me jump over to the SEO one. I think this one is pretty cool. So this one here, I haven't even shared with the team. I played with it this morning, but this SEO content plan, literally, if you'll take that snippet or that prompt, if you will, paste it into ChatGPT, put in your content pillar, it will spit out a complete content strategy that includes title tags, Q&A snippets, description tags, and blog topics. Give that one a try. It's going to be a huge time saver for you. So all of that is available there. Let me just see if I can highlight a couple more for you. This one here. There's a lot of different commands that ChatGPT and tools like it know already. And so we just gave you a long list of the different commands that will give you really cool outputs. So it knows that AIDA, AIDA stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. So you can literally just go and say, use the AIDA copywriting format to create a product description for, or whatever you want it to create it for, and then whatever your product or service is, and it's going to follow that format. So we've given you prompts for all those, for AIDA, for FAB, the 4 C's, the 6+1. So if you're not familiar with these formats, we've described what they are for you as well. But again, my encouragement to everyone is just play with this resource. It's yours to have, but I really want it to be a living, breathing document so that we can all kind of build our perfect encyclopedia of what's working, what's not working in the world of AI. Let me jump over here real quick, and I'll just show you, for example, what one of these looks like. So if you just go in here, it'll take you to a slideshow. And again, it's just a little bit more education, but then just screenshots on things. So, Sarah, you were talking about tables. I discovered tables a few weeks ago. I love them. But here's an example of just going in and putting a prompt that says, create a table with semantic keywords and long tail key phrases. And you can see that it just spit it right out for me. So it's a great way to do key phrase research. And I'm not going to go through each one of these because And it's not super highly formatted, guys. It's literally just screenshots of things. My goal wasn't to make it pretty. Our goal was really to give you guys a great resource that you can go and try some of this stuff on your own. So please give that a try. And play with those prompts. Let us know what's working, not working. As you find new prompts or cool things, share that with us directly or go into the community and share that. The last thing I wanted to walk you through is the tools and integrations. And Jess, I know you are like loving all these tools and integrations that are out there. There's some pretty cool ones. I'm going to touch on a couple, and then Jess, if you want to touch on a couple, that would be great. I love this one, this web chat GPT integration for Chrome. So one thing that we talked about earlier is that ChatGPT's data set stops in 2021. If you add this extension on, you can actually give it Google search results as a data set. So it actually overcomes that challenge a little bit. So what it'll do is it'll actually go in basically this web extension goes in and scrapes some of that content that's showing up in the search results, and then uses that, feeds that to ChatGPT as part of the data set. And so you can actually get some more current relevant information. And I find that really helpful. If you're using Jasper, it already does that natively. That's one of the cool things that Jasper does. But that's cool. There's a lot of other neat little extensions here or tools that you can use for copywriting. Jess, any that you want to highlight?
For copywriting, I know that Grammarly, I feel like we all use Grammarly and we're so used to it now, we don't necessarily think of it as AI, but they're actually going to have another component coming out that is more AI driven for Grammarly that I think is going to be really cool. But I'm a big fan of copy.ai. So for copywriting, that's a big one that I love. Yeah, so there's just so many different ones that you can use and play around with. We've been using Otter, and I'm not sure if anyone has tried out Otter yet, but it basically can take your video. Oh, there it is for productivity. Yeah, meeting transcriber and assistant. So we started using this tool, and it basically follows you around on all of your meetings that you have. You invite it to the meeting, and then afterward, it transcribes the meeting for you, and it will send you meeting notes as well as the minutes of what it thought to be important in the conversation. So you could either send it out to everyone else that was part of the call or use it to put your notes together. But we found it slightly annoying because Otter's always jumping in on us, but at the same time, it's pretty cool to be able to have those notes. So
yeah, that's awesome. I'll tell you, I found this one just the other day, Super Meme. Memes in social media are great. I'm just not very funny, so I struggle coming up with cool memes. But literally, you can just go in and using a chat GPT type format where you just kind of talk about what it is you're trying to produce. It will literally give you like 20 or 30 memes already generated around the topic or idea. So for those of you that follow me on LinkedIn, watch out, because I'm going to have a lot more memes coming that way.
I've always thought you were so funny, but now I know your secret.
Hey, it's hard for me. I struggle with the humor stuff. So
great.
But anyways, we got a couple of minutes here. Are there any tools that you guys that are on the episode today that you're using that you're finding super productive? And maybe it's already on here, but I'd love to hear, because we can certainly update this right away. What are some of the best little tools or integrations that you're using today? Anything popping up there, Andrea?
Nothing in the chat yet. We have Lumen 5.
Oh yeah, Lumen 5 is a good one. And also, what is the tool that we use, Andrea, for creating images and things like that? Canva. Doesn't it have some AI stuff coming?
Yes, there was some introduced with Canva as well.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Microsoft has designer.microsoft that is coming out. It's still in the beta phase, but they had a TikTok release that they were coming after Canva. So I was part of the beta, and I did not find it as user-friendly as Canva or as enjoyable, but again, I just might not have learned the prompts for it yet. And I feel like that can be the biggest struggle, is like, as you're trying out these new platforms, you have to figure out what prompts work for that platform, because it's all a little different. So for me, I was like, just stick with Canva. So that might be a adoption thing that people have to think about in the future.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, guys, please enjoy this resource. Let us know how we can make it better. Check back on it often, because I think we'll be updating it, gosh, I'm guessing probably at least once a week. And the goal is we want it to be this, AI for B2B marketers resource. And we really want all of us in the community to contribute to it. So as you're finding cool things, let's share it with one another and benefit from it. And I think that'll be really awesome. Also, just a quick reminder as we start wrapping here, next month, we will not have a Demand Gen Jam session, but instead we're going to have a webinar. It will be on May the 11th, the day before my wife and I head to St. Lucia. And we'll be talking all about ABM and Demand Gen, and how those really aren't islands, but really things that two strategies that we need to put together to get maximum impact, especially right now as we're finding, these economic times are a little challenging. So how can we get in front of the right customers, get them excited about what we're doing, make sure that we're top of mind so that when they are ready to buy, they think of us first. That's what we'll be talking about next month. There's not a way to register for it right now, but by the time this replay is out and ready and we send it out to you guys, you'll have a link so that you can get registered, and we'd love to have all of you guys there. And like I always say, our goal is to be done at the top of the hour, by the top of the hour. So here we are at 12:57. So I'm going to go ahead and just wrap for the day. Jess, thank you so much for joining today. It was awesome having you on. And thanks everybody for joining. Love the conversation. Let's keep it going on the Demand Gen Jammers group on LinkedIn. Everybody take care. Have an awesome day.
Bye.